van life, an alternative way to live. For most people, there's really only two ways to have shelter: to buy a house or to rent an apartment. And so there is an alternative way, a third way, and that's to be a nomad, to live in a vehicle. And the most popular vehicle that would suit most people is a van. Certainly you can live out of a car. I did that, and I do that. I've lived out of this car for 5 years because I wasn't sure how long I would be living out of a vehicle. And at this turning point, when I think about, do I want to go back to the two ways that most people live, buy a house or rent an apartment, I get stuck because I say, well, I know what that life is. I've lived that life. I like this alternative life of this nomadic lifestyle, but I could add some more comfort and security. And the van life would provide that. Okay, the van life, if you can stand up in a van, and if you have running water and electricity, you pretty much have a house on wheels. See, in a car, I sleep very comfortably in my car, and I love the drive of a car, and I have the flexibility to use my car to make income if I needed to with DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, or Instacart, and it's very fuel efficient. But it's not really a home. I just use it to drive to point A to point B and to sleep at night. A van could be more a home because you can stand up and you can have running water, electricity, a bathroom, and certainly in a Class B, you can even have a shower. But it's expensive, it's not fuel efficient, and you still have to find a place to park it. So if you go van life, you gain more security than if you were living in your car. But you gain some more expenses with fuel, with upkeep possibly, and you still have to park it somewhere, and you're still living in parking lots or living in campgrounds. Now, I will say, staying at campgrounds, especially recently, it's definitely, you have everything there you would have in a house, but it's not home, and you always think about when your camping reservations are over, where you're going next. And it's exciting, but it also wears you out. Stealth parking is doable. It's not horrible. But depending on where you are, it could be noisy and not pleasant. And you always have to worry. You always have to worry about the knock. So that's when you say, well, I don't want to do van life. Why invest more in the nomadic life? Especially on average, most vehicles go down in value. Let me invest in a home. And again, I think for most people, investing in a home long term is probably better for them, because most people either are going to have a family. Most people don't have a mindset to live on the road. And you think about the future, you do. Even when you're younger, middle-aged, you still think about long-term. Even if you're a short-term type person, you're not patient. Well, I'm not that patient at times. You still have something always lingering in your mind about your long-term stability. And a nomad always has to deal with that in their mind. So it's just the way it is. I think the van life, I think, would settle me a little bit, because I'd have a little bit more security, a little bit more comfort. And I kind of know in the back of my mind, well, if I got sick, hurt, or injured, I got a home on wheels, and I just park at a campsite, and I just pay for it for however many months I need to be stationary. But when you invest money in a van, a brand new van, be at least $40,000. Yeah, that's how much they cost now. Like a Dodge ProMaster 1500, it's at least 40 grand. A built out Class B, you're going to spend around 80 grand. So you say, I'm going to spend 40 or 80 grand on a van. Why not just buy a house, or why not just rent? And you'd be right. In most instances, it's cheaper, more convenient, more stable, but not as adventurous, not as non-attached. You know, you have a van, you have very little to take care of, you're always mobile, and even if economically it may not make sense all the time, it's a more pleasing lifestyle to those who like alternative ways of living. And there's something to be said for that, because what's the sense of renting an apartment or living in a house if you hate that life? Even if it's more secure. This is what you wrestle with. You have to accept that there's no perfect decision. That the van life is not perfect. And the conforming life, the two ways to live, buy a house or rent an apartment, that's not perfect. What's best? That's always the debate, you know, for an individual, based on your individual circumstance. I can't answer that for you, just as you can't answer this for me. And anything can change at any time for any of us. And that's why I go back to being stuck, like, kind of in this car, even though I can make a different decision. I started living in my car because this is a no-brainer. I don't want to live in this house. It's too big. It's not where I want to live. So I'm not going to buy an RV. I'm just going to live in the current car I have. I always recommend live in the current car you have, because you don't want to overinvest in the road. But then eventually you come to a point after 5 years or whatever, you know, your car may get old. It may need repairs, or you may eventually have to get a new one. And then you say, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to invest in the van life? Or do I want to invest in a home? A van can be a home, but you still need somewhere to park it. Now, you can't, for the most part, you can't do DoorDash, Uber, Instacart, or Lyft with a van. But, you know, again, you have to look at, are you doing that now? And do you have other skill sets? So, you know, that's all part of it. I just like to have all my options open. You know, I like to have all the options. But I suffer with that sometimes, because if you have all the options, then you're not going to make a decision, because when you make a decision, you eliminate some options. But either way, that's kind of van life. That's kind of the general thought process, at least from my experience and my perspective. If this video helps you, click the thumbs up. You want to support the channel, click the blue join button. Share the video. Leave a comment below. Watch my thousands of free videos on my playlist. I'll see you in the next one.